coming straight up out the struggle, watch the killer state. It's California, homie, where they know to regulate. Red or blue rat, keep the pistol in the waist. North or south, put the blood, shit, they know to spray. And all the Asian homies even know to pack the K. And all the pasajeros know to move the way. And shit gets scandalous, how these bodies dropping every day. And all for pilot money, homie, I know what a shame. But this is just the way it is, so I stay with the gauge. In case they want it, they can get it, we don't hesitate. I know it's strange, on the simple fact you can't relate. The you don't know my pain. I keep it by the G code until my dying day. Cause that's just life up in the hood, out the killer state. It's California, homie, where they know to regulate. It's California, homie, where they know to regulate. I keep it by the G code until my dying day. Cause that's just life up in the hood, out the killer state. It's California, homie, where they know to regulate.
What's good, G-Life? Now, you'll be getting a bonus episode, but still part of the Boys series right here. Because we're going to be covering all the Playboy sites. Because obviously, Playboy's, being a boy neighborhood. But this time, going to be covering all the sites. Because Playboy's is one of the more larger of homeboy neighborhoods. And it's located in different locations. Same gang. Just different sites and different cliques for the sites, but it's still the same neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's one of the more larger homeboy neighborhoods. So we'll be, just discussing all their sites and where they're at and all of that. So with no further ado, let's get into it. And P.S. for those who have been asking about, certain videos out there about, this neighborhood and, politics and stuff like that. I won't be getting into none of that. So, it is what it is. But with no further ado, let's get into it. Obviously, we're going to be starting off where the hood originated from. Where did the Playboys gang come from? The Playboys neighborhood originated out of right here, West Los Angeles, bro. You already know right here, it definitely be cracking in West Los. Right here in the area that is referred to as the Pico Union District is the original birthplace, home ground for the Playboys gang. And it originated as the West Side Playboys. Now, and it is known as the West Side Playboys. I do understand that people see it sometimes, Playboy Sureños. They think that the S is for Sureños. Now, although they do write it like that, and although some sites do say it like that, when it originated, it was just known as the Playboys gang, because you have to keep it in mind that when it first started, was back then, there was no such thing as Sureños or Norteños and stuff like that. It didn't exist yet. So it was just known as Playboys, PBS. Because this neighborhood is old school. They started in the 1950s, bro, is when this neighborhood was established. And their territory was right here. Everything that's from Olympic Boulevard to Admore Avenue. And from that, I would have to say their territory still extends to Venice Boulevard, all the way to Vermont. Everything that's in the middle is considered their barrio. Throughout 11th, throughout 12th, throughout Pico Boulevard as well, throughout, all of that, all the way to 15th, bro, and everything that's in the middle is considered their barrio. So throughout Normandy, throughout, Kenmore, throughout, Bernardo, throughout New Hampshire Avenue, all of that is what's considered the original birthplace of the Playboys neighborhood. You know what I mean? Also right there close to the Normandy Park is the West Side Playboys neighborhood. Now, it did start off as, from what I was told, a car club, then transitioned into neighborhood. You know what I mean? That's just how it is sometimes. You know what I mean? It was just a group of individuals, like the whole car scenery and stuff like that, and it just manifested into the neighborhood that we know it. And of course, they adopted the Playboy bunny, because obviously their name was Playboys. You know what I mean? Because of their flashy, they used to went with these nice cars, and they used to dress all fly and everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, they had stilo and swag and luxury. You know what I'm saying? So that, that's the reason why they chose that name, and they just adopted the Playboy bunny, obviously due to the fact, because of the Playboy, and people can make the connection. You know what I'm saying? And the, original cliques out of the West Side Playboys neighborhood was, like the Chico Locos, the Malos, the Dukes, and etc. The West Side Playboys. Now, branches of the West Side Playboys gang have spread out to different locations. You know what I mean? But this is where they originated at, and, and continue to still represent theirs and hold it down right there, because the Playboys gang is in the thousands. So you already know they'd be holding it down. Next in line, we will have to actually maneuver to the area that is known as South Central. South Central, obviously infamous, known for all kinds of neighborhoods and shit really be going down right here. And this is also home to, which was the second largest and second oldest of the Playboy branches, which is known as the East Side Playboys. Now, why is it known as the East Side Playboys? It is known as the East Side Playboys because it originated out of the east side of South Central. You know, it was probably one of the first neighborhoods located in the east side of South Central. That is why they're referred to as East Side South Central Playboys, you know what I mean? And they're located, you know, their territory is everything that's from the South Park district. You know what I mean? South Park, you know, that's why you can see it sometimes, you know, it's like Southside Playboys, but it's more referred to East Side Playboys, you know what I mean? Because the South Side is a different branch. But yeah, they are located in South Central in the South Park, you know, area. And this neighborhood is probably the second largest, if not probably already larger than the original birthplace of, you know, the Playboys gang. Probably, if not, you know, they probably surpassed the West Side in sheer numbers. I'm talking about, because over here, their you know, their neighborhood expanded, you know, massively. You know what I mean? It erupted in this area. You know what I mean? And like I said, it definitely be going down right here. It's very chaotic. You know, you have so many different neighborhoods, not just with Hispanics, but you have so many you know, black gangs as well. You know, and although they tend to get along with some, and then they feud with others, that is just how it is. You know, that's what I try to explain to individuals when they try to say that, you know, all this nonsense that they be saying. And right here in the South Park area, their territory used to extend everything that's from Vermont to Grant, and from Grant all the way to Slauson, and from Slauson all the way to San Pedro and back around. That was back then. Since then, other neighborhoods have, you know, popped up in the area, like the Varrios 50s and 55s, and, you know, and Hangout Boys and Broadway Gangster Cribs and all kinds of sets. You know what I mean? So since then, their territory is now everything that's from Vernon to Maine, Maine to 54th, 54th, all the way to San Pedro. So everything that's in the middle is considered their barrio. So that's throughout Wall Street, that slices through their barrio. So that's throughout 46th, 47th, 49th, 50, 51st, 52nd, 53rd. All of that is known as the East Side Playboys. And like I said, right here, their numbers just exploded. It is probably now the largest set, you know, within the Playboys organization. And right here, you know, they started in the 70s and also have, you know, different cliques that represent for them over here on this side. You know what I mean? They have like the 56th Street clique, 51st, 49, 46, 42nd, you know, basically just naming their cliques after the streets in which is in their barrio that they hang out. And, you know, right here, they tend to feud with all kinds of neighborhoods, but like, because I said, it's just jam-packed full of a lot of barrios. But the East Side Playboys have been holding it down right there, continue to still hold it down, if not probably their largest branch now. And now the East Side portion did branch off also to different locations. You could find them in you were able before to find them in East Los Angeles, in the area, not East Los Angeles, east side of Los Angeles, in the Boyle Heights area. You know what I mean? The Playboys gang did at one point have a little chapter there. Since then, I don't think that they're active no more. They could have some members still floating around, but they did have, you know, a branch of theirs that did spread off, kind of like the West Side did to the Valle, but these, you know, to the east side of Los Angeles. But this is where they originated at, their birthplace, and where they continue to still hold it down for theirs and putting theirs on the map. Now, to find the next Playboys neighborhood, we have to maneuver our way to the south side of Los Angeles. You already know the south side, definitely where it be cracking. And to be more exact, we have to be heading towards the city of Southgate. Southgate is definitely a city that cracks. I can tell you that for a fact. There's all kinds of neighborhoods. Shit be crazy in Southgate. And this is home to the Southside PBS, Southside Playboys, right here in the city of Southgate. Now, you do see them up as Southside Playboys, or you could see them up as SG Playboys, which obviously the SG referring to Southgate. So either one is right, Southside, SSP, PBS, or SG, PBS. Either one, is right. They're just representing their side over here. And now, this neighborhood over here on this side started in the 80s that they branched over here to this side, to this section. And their territory was everything that was from State Street to Firestone Boulevard to California Avenue, all the way back to Tweedy Boulevard and back around. So everything that's in the middle is considered their barrio throughout Debo Street, everything that's from Dearborn, Victoria, Elizabeth, Virginia Avenue is considered their barrio. So that's throughout Missouri, throughout Duna Way, and throughout Southern. It's what's considered their barrio. So that's like Southern, and that's like Southern in Victoria, Southern in Elizabeth, Virginia, all that. It's what's considered the barrio Playboys territory right here in the city of Southgate, which is their third largest one on this side. You know what I mean? Because even though the BG and this side is known as the South Side, the Southgate portion of the clique is more larger than the Bell Gardens portion of the clique. And right here also, they do have, cliques, that represent for them. You know what I mean? Like the Enano logo is probably the one that you find over here. You see up the most. They have several other cliques, but the Enano is probably the more recognizable one. You know what I mean? For them representing on this side. You know what I mean? And obviously, because they had a Chicano rapper, rest in peace, Spanky, Cyclone, who was from this portion. He was from the Southgate Playboys, and they continue to still represent theirs and hold it down, as probably the third largest, with a few hundred members, and continue to still rep it for theirs and hold it down. Now, as we stay right here in the South Side, but now sliding on over to the city of Bell Gardens. Yes, BG. BG is home to the Playboys as well, which is known as the BG Playboys, the Bell Garden Playboys, but they are also still part of the Southside branch. So you can see it up as Southside Playboys or BG Playboys, but it's the same thing, you know what I mean? And their territory over here in Bell Gardens is probably their more smaller one. When we're talking about here in Los Angeles, this is probably their smallest branch, but have individuals that hold it down. At least from what I was told, is in the Bell Gardens side, they had up to 40 to 50 members over here. In their territory, that was everything that was from Clara Street to Eastern, all the way to Cecilia, all the way to Habanera Road, and back around. So everything that's in the middle is considered their barrio. So throughout Queen Street, throughout Gotham, and all of that is what's considered, the Playboys neighborhood. So it will be like Queen and Bell Garden Avenue is where you were able to find them, or Bell Garden and Gotham. That was home to, the Playboys gang. Continue to still be right there representing for theirs and their side, you know what I mean? With, branches and cliques, of their own. And like I said, it's probably the more smaller one, and they have been, the Southgate portion started before the Bell Garden portion. They started roughly around the 80s, and these guys started roughly around the early 90s when they were established right here in this area. And continue to still be right there repping it for theirs and holding it down for the Bell Garden Playboys right there. Now, as we keep on going, but now moving different locations, now to the area of Orange County. What? You didn't know Orange County had Playboys gang? Of course they got the Playboys gang right here in the OC. And yes, the same neighborhood. You know what I mean? Now, for this one, to be more specific, we actually have to maneuver our way to the area of Garden Grove. To be more specific than that, to the west side of Garden Grove is where you're able to find the Playboys neighborhood. The Playboys neighborhood has been established already right here since the 90s. You had homies that were from the original Playboys gang in Los Angeles that had moved to this area, set up shop, and and since then it just began recruitment, and it just grew in numbers over here in Garden Grove, because Garden Grove is an area that it gets very chaotic. You have all kinds of neighborhoods around, and Playboys, made it their home. You know what I mean? And their territory is pretty extensive within this area, and like I said, they have their own cliques and stuff like that over here. Now, the Playboys territory is everything that's from Magnolia to Chapman, all the way to Gilbert to Lamson and back around. Everything that's in the middle is considered their barrio. So close through the Hair Park, everything that's throughout that area. But their main zone, the danger zone where it goes down, where it definitely be getting cracking, is on Tibbetts and Palmwood Drive. That is the heart of the hood, their dojo, their domain. That's where it gets on and cracking, my boy. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, that's where you see the Tibbetts Street locals, for the street right here that they're named after. And at least from what I was told, it's right here that there are a few hundred members, 90 to 100 members, roughly around there, right here in this area in Garden Grove, which is the GXG PBS, you know what I mean? Garden Grove Playboys. And they branched off of the west side, the homies from the west side Playboys that had moved down there, that, began to establish and stuff like that. And this neighborhood has been right here, and the OC continues to still hold it down for theirs, and the Playboys gang is still putting theirs on the map. Another area that you're able to find the Playboys gang, for this one, we have to maneuver our way to Northern California. Yes, Northern California is home to the Playboys gang, in the area of Stockton. Stockton is the area where you're able to find the Playboys gang. The Playboys gang, and yes, it's the same one, even though they put Playboys Sureños. Like I have said, they did make a stand for that. Later on, it's either one is right, but it's the same neighborhood. You had homies from LA that, just came up here and just, and ever since then it just blew up in numbers, down here. In this area in Stockton, and not just in Stockton, but they're in several other, areas. So they do, could always just back each other up and stuff like that. And plus they do get along with other southern neighborhoods, within the area. So even though, obviously they're outnumbered by, northerners, they still maintain a presence. Now, they obviously, because this is Northern California, they're not that large, you know what I mean? Their neighborhoods are not that, big, obviously, because it's Northern California. But at least from what I was told is that in Stockton, they got up to be about 50 members, to them. So a pretty, decent portion, for being in Northern California. And like I said, it's the same one, even though you see sometimes, Playboy Suit or whatever, it's the same thing, and they have continued to still represent theirs and been putting it down right there since, at least from what I was told, the mid to late 90s is when, they landed there, and planted their flag and, been there holding it down for the Stockton Playboys. Another area in Northern California where you're able to find the Playboys gang is actually in the area of Fresno. Yes, Fresno is home to the Playboys branch over here that's known as the Fresno Playboys. And over here in Northern California, you see the Bunny Gangsters clique. That's the clique that you see more often, of theirs, and the Locotes, for this side, in Northern California. Because like I said, you just have homies, from Playboys that are just, scattered in different counties and cities within Northern California. But the stronghold is like in Stockton and in Fresno, where you're able to find them. Like I said, they just happen to get along, just like the Stockton ones. They just get along with other southern neighborhoods, because you do have other southern neighborhoods within the area, and obviously feuding, more with northerners, and like Fresno's Bulldogs, because it definitely be going on, cracking. And the branch that set up over here shop was the East Side Playboys that set up shop in Fresno. So that's who they're coming from. The East Side Playboys are the ones that moved down here and began recruitment. So that's why you sometimes see it like Fresno East Side Playboys, for that very reason. And like I said, you have the Locotes, and then you have the Bunny Gangsters. And in Fresno, at least from what I was told, is that they're roughly about 30 heads to them right here in Fresno, and continue to still be representing for theirs and putting theirs on the map for the Fresno Playboys gang.
Still continue to represent right there.
Now, since I already covered the San Fernando Valley portion of it in the first video, I'm just gonna give a brief summary right here. in the San Fernando Valley, you do have the West Side Playboys that branch out over there to start the Burbank Playboys in the San Fernando Valley, which their territory was everything that was where the Burbank airport's at, the apartment places in front of that. That's where you had homies from the West Side Playboys that had moved to the San Fernando Valley, began recruitment, and started a chapter over there. You know what I mean? They have the Chico Locos and the Maple Locos, for the Playboys neighborhood right there in the San Fernando Valley in Burbank. That has been their home. That's been their home since the 90s, early 90s, and they continue to still be established right there and hold the presence in Burbank for the Burbank Playboys.
Thank you for watching M.O.D Entertainment. Make sure you like and subscribe.